So next up, we have Amaal Ali, who is a lead software developer at Opencast. Hey, Amaal.
Hi.
Hi. So let's hear about your beginnings in technology. So how did it start and how it's going?
Um, how did it start? I didn't start in technology. Was the long and short of it. I started off as a teacher and also studying mathematics, and I got into technology because I got really hooked in it in a few ways. Um, and I decided to make a big jump across. I went to a boot camp, a coding boot camp, to learn how to code. That's how I got into it.
Wonderful. So, what did you find? So, of your original intention, sort of teaching and the mathematics, what were the apparent transferable skills as you started to see tech as more the place where that you wanted to be?
Yeah, so coming from a STEM field, science, I have physics as a background also, but I was studying maths at the time. The main things that I realize now looking back is that science backgrounds, kind of like what Olivia was saying earlier, is more about problem solving. It's more about that than it is about actually decoding the bytes on disk. It's not about the bytes on the disk anymore. Technology has gotten to the point where it's very much very high level, um, and it allows a vast array of people to get into the field and solve different problems. And some bits of it get, you really need the nitty-gritty of how the machine works. A lot of it you don't, and it's about the problem solving and bringing value by solving problems.
Mhm. So, do you think there's a reason why you didn't come to an earlier conclusion that technology for you?
Yes, I was initially. It's always a field that I've been interested by. I had a cousin who was into tech and stuff like that, and I thought he was really cool. Um, I did math, so to me this was cool. Um, the and But I was really intimidated by it. One of the things is I always assumed that to be in technology, you needed to understand everything about how a machine works, um, and how a computer works, and how a server works, and all of these sorts of things. Yeah, I thought I needed to understand all of that. But it turns out not that many feel, no, you don't. It's a lot more about solving business problems. Coding is part of it, a big part of it, as Olivia was saying earlier, and it's very nice to see it work. But it's a lot about just solving business problems too. I didn't come into it initially because I was interested more in science, but I also thought that there was a higher barrier to this field than initially.
So do you
And
think that's a bit of a myth that, us and other people in the industry need to try and start busting a little bit so that we can try and get more people interested in these roles at an earlier age?
I do think so. Like I said, technology's come really, really far. Computers have come a long way.
Mhm.
When I say computers, I mean programming languages, all of the frameworks, all of the tooling frameworks, not just JavaScript frameworks. Little joke there. There's a new one every week. Yeah, there's not the frameworks that you could use to build things, like building a small app is pretty easy now. There are things like that they call no code and stuff, and it's much easier now. And so we need to break that bust that myth, like you were saying, that there's a big barrier. The reality is it's becoming easier and easier every day.
Mhm. Okay. So, in terms of like when you get into the industry and you start working in these roles, like what are the possibilities? We've talked about being a software developer and you're currently a lead software developer. Is there other options and is there future progression routes for people once they're in there?
Yeah, so you for people starting off as a software developer, that doesn't mean that you're pigeonholed into that for the rest of your career. There are a lot of routes from there leading outwards. You can become a technical BA, where you know how the code works, but you can become someone who's business BA. You can be going to software architecture. That's where you care about how things plug together and solving problems at a higher level. Software developers solve things that are closer down to the machine. Architects help at the higher level. So think of it as your generals and admirals and stuff like that. And yeah, your sergeants. So like a software developer might be a sergeant, or whereas you know, your architects are like your admirals and so on. So there are a lot of roles out of it. You can continue to progress, and the industry is continuing to change for software developers. Something that's becoming a lot more popular now is people moving into you can move into management if you want, but some people aren't interested in moving into management. So that's something that is changing the industry, and you could become a principal developer, sorry, where you could still code if that's what you want for the rest of your life, but you're someone who influences a lot of other coders, and you can help shape the culture of a company as a principal developer.
Brilliant.
So lots of routes out, yes.
Lots of options. Okay, so just finally then, you know, you talked about how you started in STEM in some capacity, and it's kind of shifted based on what you learned. What advice can you give to people who are maybe in a similar situation where kind of dabbling a little bit, but really not sure about making big decisions about their careers at that point? What advice can you give to people in that situation?
So the main advice is there's a lot of space in this field. There are a lot of opportunities out here. Find the thing that you really like. If you're a visual person, front-end development is one that you might want to consider. So play around with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Give that a go. There are a lot of free tools out there for that. If you like data, you know, you're really good at Excel, crunching numbers and stuff like that. If you're passionate about statistics, anything, you might want to consider data science or data engineering. We have some colleagues at Opencast that are software developers, but lean towards the data side of it. So you can still be a software developer, but with a leaning towards with data. Some people just like working on the code itself. Figure out what you like, and there are opportunities in the field.
Good advice. Thanks, Amaal.